So in this video, I'm going to go over Pascal's triangle and binomial expansion. But first, we're going to go over the warm-up for the day. So this first one says find the perimeter of the rectangle, and number 2 says find the area of the figure. So if you guys would go ahead and work these two warm-ups and then come back to me when you're done. Go ahead, pause the video, and then come back. All right, so the perimeter means what? Yes, the distance around an object. So I could actually put x minus 3 over here and 5x minus 2 there. Then we're just combining like terms, right? So notice we have x, 5x, x, and 5x. So 5x plus 5x is 10x, plus 2 more x is going to be 12x, right? And then we have minus 3, minus 2, minus 3, minus 2. Okay, so we have that minus 3, that's minus 6, and minus 2 is minus 8, and minus another 2 is minus 10. So our answer was 12x minus 10. Now remember, perimeter, all we're doing is adding the sides together, right? And then number 2 says find the area of the figure. To find the area of the figure, or the space inside, we would multiply the two sides together. So we're going to, area is equal to length times width, right? Okay, so we're just going to do 5x minus 2 times our x minus 3. Now the way we typically do this is with the box method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and I'm going to put this x minus 3 below it. And I'm just going to use my box to go ahead and multiply. 5x times x is 5x squared. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. 5x times negative 3 is negative 15x. And then negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6. Hopefully you see right here and here are like terms, right? So we're going to combine those. Then we get 5x squared minus 17x plus 6. And that was B. All right, let's jump into our lesson next. Oh, let me just tell you about this first. So Monday we have tutoring after school. Tuesday we have tutoring in the morning and after school. And Wednesday we have tutoring in the morning and after school, okay? Just keep that in mind for next week. Because remember, we do have our midterm coming up. So our next, quote, mock or big test is going to be our midterm, okay? And that's going to be on the 14th. I think October 14th, okay? So today we're going over Pascal's triangle. Pascal's triangle is a triangular array of numbers used for binomial expansion. And when we're creating Pascal's triangle, we start and end every row with a 1. So that's your first blank in your notes. And then each row grows by one number, okay? So if the first row is 1, then the second row is going to be 2, and so on. To get the other numbers, we add the numbers from the previous row. So we're going to do this now together. So basically notice each row begins with a 1. So notice all these 1s here, okay? And they all end with a 1, right? So then the other part of this is we're going to add this 1 plus that 1, and that's how we got this 2 right here, okay? So in the next row, what we're going to do is we're going to add the 1 plus the 2, and we're going to get a 3 here. Same way over there, we're going to add the 1 plus the 2, and we're going to get a 3 there. So as we keep moving down each row, remember, we're going to start with 1, and we're going to end with 1, right? So then here again, we're adding 1 plus 3, so that's a 4. We're going to add the 3 plus 3, that's going to give us 6. 3 plus 1, that's going to give us 4. And again, we ended with the 1. And then our last row down here is 1. Again, 1 plus 4 is 5. 4 plus 6 is 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. 4 plus 1 is 5 again. And again, remember, we end with 1. So, and when we're talking about these rows, guys, when we say that we want to pull our coefficients from these rows, because that's what we do with Pascal's triangle. We pull the coefficients for our binomial expansion from each of these rows. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about the number. So in other words, if I had an x plus 2 squared, I would pull from this row because my number here is 2. X plus 2 to the third, I would pull my coefficients from that row. x plus 2 to the fourth, I would pull from this row. X plus 2 to the fifth, I would pull my coefficients from the fifth row. So when we're talking about rows, we're talking about really that second number that determines which row we're pulling the coefficients from. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some binomial expansion. So this says binomial theorem, also known as the binomial expansion. There's an important relationship between the powers of binomials and the numbers in Pascal's triangle. And the numbers in Pascal's triangle can be used to find the coefficients in binomial expansion. So this is an x plus 2 to the fourth. So we're going to go back here and we're going to look at our fourth row. So notice this is our fourth row right here, guys. This is our fourth row. How did I know that? Because that's a 4 right there, okay? So we're going to pull those 5 numbers and they're going to be our coefficients in our binomial expansion, okay? So we're going to put 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, okay? Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put x here in as the term in our first blank, and then we're going to put our 2 as our term in our second blank. Now, because we may have more than one term there, this time we only have one, so I'm going to still do this because it gets us in the good habits, because we may have a coefficient with a variable or 2 variables even sometimes, okay? So now the next step is we're going to write our powers in descending order. So we're going to write 4. We're going to start with 4 because that's our power up here, and then we're going to go to 3, and then 2, and then 1, and then 0. And then we're going to go up the same way. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And I want you guys to notice that when we add these exponents, 4 plus 0, so when we add 4 plus 0, we get 4. When we add 3 plus 1, we get 4. We add 2 plus 2, we get 4. Again, y'all see the pattern. 1 plus 3, 4. 0 plus 4, again, 4. Okay? They have to add up to 4, your exponents up there. Now all we're doing is simplifying, okay? So we've got a 1 out here, and then we've got an x to the fourth, and then we've got 2 to the 0 power, again, is 1, right? So this is going to be x to the fourth. Our next one, we're going to multiply our coefficient, again, times x to the third, and now we have a 2, right? So now we're going to multiply those two coefficients together. 4 times 2 is 8, so this one's going to be 8x to the third. Now we're going to do again our 6, and now we have x squared, and then 2 squared is 4, so we're going to do the 6 times 4, so that's going to be 24x squared. Now we've got 4 here, and times our x to the first, right? And then 2 to the third, 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8, so 4 times 8 is 32, so that's going to be just 32x. And now we have 1, and now this x to the 0, remember, anything to the 0 power is 1, and then 2 to the fourth is 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8, times another 2 is 16. So this is going to be 16. So 1 times 16 is indeed 16. Now what we do is put all these terms together to write our x plus 2 to the fourth power. So we're going to put x to the fourth as our first term, 8x to the third power, 24x squared, plus 32x plus 16, okay? So that's our first example. So the next one is you guys doing it. Now this time, if you notice, this one's to the fifth power. So what row are you going to look at? Yep, you got it, the fifth row. So let's see if you guys can do this. Pause the video and come back to me when you're done. Okay, the first thing I want to do is take you guys back to that fifth row, okay, right here. So notice what our coefficients are, 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, and 1. Oh, and let me also point this out to you guys. We're always going to have one more term than the 5. So we have 1, 5, sorry, 10, 10, 5, and 1. Do y'all notice we have 6? We're going to have 6 terms when we finish this. And that's always going to be the case when we do our binomial expansion. If it is to the fifth power, we're going to end up with 6 terms, okay? So here again, we're going to put our x here. Okay? And then we're going to put our negative 5. All right, now we're going to do what we did before. We're going to write it in descending order. So we're going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And again, go back up here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Again, keeping in mind that those exponents have to add up to be 5. Okay, guys? So now this equals, I'm going to just put an equal on all of them. Okay, so we've got here 1 times x to the 5th. Whoops, that does not look like a 5th power, y'all. And remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. So this is just going to be x to the 5th, okay? Then we have 5, x to the 4th. And now we have negative 5 to the 1st power, so that's going to be negative 5. Now we're going to multiply the 5 times the negative 5, so that's going to be negative 25 x to the 4th. Then we've got 10 x to the 3rd, and now we've got negative 5 times negative 5. Isn't that a positive 25, y'all? And then we're going to do 10 times 25, so that's going to be 250 x to the 3rd. Then the next one is, again, 10. This time it's going to be x squared. And this time we're going to multiply negative 5 times negative 5. That's going to be positive 25, and then we're going to multiply that by, again, another negative 5. So that's going to be negative 125. And then we're going to multiply that by 10. So that's going to give us negative 1,250 x squared. So next one, 5, and we got our x to the 1st. And now we're multiplying negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, or negative 5 to the 4th power, which is now positive. Now remember, anytime we have a negative number and we take it to an odd degree, it's going to stay negative. But if we take it to an even degree, it's going to become positive. So now 5 times 625 is 3,125 x. And then our last one, we got 1. And again, anything to the 0 power is 1, right, y'all? And now we're taking negative 5 to the 5th. And this is going to be the same number as before, because didn't we actually have 5? Yes, we did. Now remember, this is going to be negative though, right? Because, again, it's an odd power. Whoops, it's 3125. Okay, so that's going to be negative 3125. Now we're just going to write it out. So this one's going to have 5 terms again, remember. So this is x to the 5th minus 25 x to the 4th plus 150 x to the 3rd minus 1,250 x squared plus 3,125 x minus 3,125. Now I want to point out to you guys that, do you notice every other term here is negative? And that's what's going to happen if we have a negative term, y'all. Every other term should end up being negative, and the reason for that, again, is because we're going to take it to some odd degrees, and that's what's going to make it negative, okay? All right, we're going to do another example. This one's going to be a little harder, and this one's going to be important that you guys really pay attention, okay? So now, once again, this is to the 3rd power, so we're going to go back again to our Pascal's triangle so we can see what row we're going to use. So you guys notice this row right here? This is the row we're going to use. So it's 1, 3, 3, 1, okay? So we're going to go back here, again, to our problem, maybe. It's moving very slow. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so this time, we're going to write 1, 3, 3, 1. We're going to write our term 2x squared. Now you can see the reason for the parentheses, right? 2x squared, 2x squared, 2x squared. And then we're going to write our other term as well, negative 4y to the 3rd. Now, here again, we're going to go in descending order, y'all. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1, 0. And again, 3, 2, 1, 0. And my check, again, is if all these numbers, all these exponents should add up to be 3 every time, okay? So now this time, so I went ahead and moved that over, y'all, because I thought I might need some more space. Okay, so this time, again, we're going to do our 1. Now, this is what you guys need to see here. We got to apply this to both terms, okay? So that means I'm going to do 2 to the third, and I'm going to do x to this, yeah, wow. Sorry, y'all. I'm going to do x to the 2 times 3, okay? And then obviously anything to the 0 power again is 1, right? So now this is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So this is going to be 8x to the 6th. Now, remember, because it's on the outside, that's why we're multiplying it, okay? If it was another term, we would just add it. But because it's on the outside, parentheses means multiplication, so that's one of those things to keep in mind, okay? So I'm going to just keep going with my black here, y'all. So this is going to be 2 squared now, and x to the 2 times 2. And then we got negative 4 y to the third, okay? So now we're going to have to actually maybe do a little bit more, maybe not, maybe y'all can see this. So this is going to be 3 times 4. Actually, I'll write it here. 3 times 4 times negative 4. Do y'all see all those numbers? 3, that's 4 right there, right? And that's a negative 4. So I'm just doing all my coefficients, okay? And then we have an x to the 4th and a y to the 3rd. So 3 times 4 is 12 times the negative 4 is negative 48. So this is going to be negative 48 x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Yeah, I know, it's a little complicated, but you just got to step it out, okay, guys? All right, so this next one is 3 again. Now we're going to do 2x squared. Now that's the first power, so I don't have to change anything about that one right now, but we are going to have to do this negative 4. Again, going to apply it to both terms, y'all. So that's going to be negative 4 squared, and then we're going to do y to the 3rd. And I can put it out here too, because then maybe that will help y'all to see that it's being multiplied, okay? So here again, I'm going to take all my coefficients. So that's going to be 3 times 2 and negative 4 squared is going to be 16. Then we got our x squared over here, and we got our y to the 6th, because that's 3 times 2, right? Okay, 3 times 2 is 6. And 6 times 16 is going to be 96. So that's going to be 96 x squared y to the 6th. All right, our last term down here, again, 1, and then remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. So now we're going to take this negative 4 to the 3rd power, and then we're going to do our y to the 3rd power times 3, right? So negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, times another negative 4 is going to be negative 64. And then we've got y to the 9th, right? Yes. Okay, so now all we have to do is write these terms. So we have 8x to the 6th minus 48 x to the 4th, y to the 3rd, plus 96 x squared, y to the 6th, minus 64 y to the 9th. Now notice here, the first term only has an x in it and the last term only has a y in it, and that makes sense, right? Because we took, in the first term, we took the second term to the power of 0, and in the last term, we took the first term to the 0 power. Okay, we got one more you guys try, and I'll go over this after you guys are done. So go ahead and try this problem, pause the video, and then come back to me when you guys are done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this again. So this is, again, another 3rd power. So this is going to be 1, 3, 3, 1, right, y'all? I'm doing my 2y. And then I'm going to go minus 5z. Ooh, to the 4th. Almost forgot that, y'all. Minus 5z to the 4th. Okay, so once again, remember, we're going 3, 2, 1, 0, 3, 2, 1, 0. So this is going to be 1, and then we've got 2 to the 3rd and y to the 3rd. And again, that's going to be 1 again, right, y'all? So that's going to be 2 to the 3rd is 2 times 2 is 4 times another 2 is 8. So this is going to be 8y to the third. This is going to be equal to 3 times 2 squared y squared. And then we've got our negative 5 z to the fourth, right? So that's going to be 3 times, should I write this out for y'all? 3 times 4 times negative 5 y squared z to the fourth. So that's 3 times 4, that's 12, times negative 5 is negative 60, right? So that's going to be negative 60 y squared z to the fourth. All right, next one, 3 times 2y. I don't have to take any, that's the first power, so that's easy. Then I got a negative 5 squared, and I got a z to the fourth squared. Okay, so now we got 3 times 2, negative 5 squared is going to be 25. Then we got our y, and our 4 times 2 is what, 8, yes? So that's z to the 8th. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 25 is 150. I'm thinking quarters, y'all. So y and then z to the 8th. All right, last one. So this one is 1, and anything to the 0 power again is 1. So now we're going to take this negative 5 to the third power, right? And then we're going to take our z to the fourth, and we're going to do that to the third power. So negative 5 times negative 5 is 25 times another 5. So if I have 5 quarters, I have 125. So this is going to be a negative 125. And then that's going to be z to the 12th, right? Okay, so let's write our answer. 8y to the third minus 60 y squared z to the fourth, then plus 150 y z to the 8th minus 125 z to the 12th. And again, notice every other term is negative. Makes sense, right? Okay. Hopefully that helps everybody.